Welcome to today's episode of the FinTalk show at Pros AI. Today we have a very, very exciting guest. For those of you who are joining the podcast, we are Pros AI. We specialize in helping fintech businesses scale their revenue. So if you'd like to learn more about how you can scale your fintech to the next level, make sure you stick around. And if you are interested in a free growth consultation, just drop us the word growth in our DMs and we'll get back to you. Our guest today is Matthew Bellows, General Partner at Grit Capital Partners, a serial entrepreneur turned VC with successful exits, someone who really knows a lot about early stage startups, having founded and exited several businesses himself. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Osman. Great to be here.
Please tell our audience a bit about yourself, your background, and what you do at Grit Capital Partners.
Sure. I'm a relatively new venture capitalist. I've only been a VC for about 18 months. Before that, I was a startup guy. I founded, built, and sold 3 companies, one in media, one in SaaS MarTech, and one in FinTech.
Excellent. Let's start with that part of the story. You know, it's been an incredible story finding and exiting companies. What drove that transition from, operator to the VC world, and how is that working for you at the moment?
Yeah, I wasn't looking for a VC job. I was thinking, so my third startup, the FinTech company, was called Bodeswell, and it was a digital financial planning application. So you could, as a non-technical person, make your own financial plan very easily, just dragging and dropping like elements on a board. And when we would do all the calculations for you behind the scenes, and American Express saw that and thought that might be good for their card members. And so we did a pilot with them. They actually invested in the business, and then they made an offer to acquire the business. And so I spent about 18 months at American Express learning a ton and really appreciating the opportunity to be there and learn how to run a bank, basically. That's the most of what I learned, which I hadn't had any experience doing beforehand. And at the end of that time, Grit Capital, who had invested in the business early on,
right,
and in particular, the MD, Paul Palmieri, approached me and said, "Hey, why don't you come on to Grit and put some of your startup, experience and battle scars and lessons learned to use for our portfolio companies." And so I leapt at the chance. I know the Grit people. I've known the Grit people for decades, and really respect the way that they work with entrepreneurs and the way they helped me and my company succeed. And so I was really happy to join up with the team.
That's a really unique journey. Starting from a founder to, like an exec in a big organization like American Express, and then finally being approached by the same people who probably funded your business to join them as a partner to help other startups in the same space. That brings a very unique experience to Grit. How do you see that influencing, like some of the decisions that you would make as a partner when you are dealing with other founders, having been in that space in the same shoes?
I feel like, for me anyway, it wouldn't work any other way. Like I suffer from what people commonly call imposter syndrome, which is I look around and I think, like, how did I get it? How did I get here? Like, am I actually that guy? And so having done 3 startups, from incorporation to exit, I feel like I have some relevant life experience to share with the entrepreneurs that we talk to and invest in. Which is not to say that, all my tools work for every situation or anything, but I do know what it's like to be in the CEO chair, and I know the common sort of human struggles associated with that role.
Right.
And it is lonely at the top. That's a cliche, but it's also true. And so I feel like I'm able to at least show up for people struggling to achieve their dreams and to try to help them, unlock what they need to unlock to get there.
That's a very good perspective you bring there because yeah, it can be lonely at the top when you are trying to run a business. There's always pressure for delivery, for growth, and all that kind of stuff when it comes to especially new businesses. If you've been funded and you need to make things work, it does get tough. So bringing that unique experience to Grit, I think, is amazing. Having been at Grid for the last 18 months, are there any specific portfolio success stories that you would want to share with our audience? Anything that stands out?
I mean, Grit has been incredibly successful before I joined. We've had two funds before I joined
Right,
that were sort of top decile performers in their cohort, in their year funded.
right,
Since I joined, we've had a couple exits from previous portfolio investments, none that I made, so I can't
right,
take any credit. But the team continues to have like proven that they picked great investments, in the previous funds, and we've now done two investments out of our third fund, which is Grit 3. Um,
right,
and I did two investments out of Grit 2, but both are very early stage businesses. So
right,
showing traction and showing some encouraging results. But like one thing about VC, which I'm sure you know, but just
right,
sort of can't be underlined enough, is what a long-term game it is.
right.
And it's true for venture-backed businesses as well. Like, although AI companies are growing faster than ever before in terms of their revenue, it
Yeah,
still takes years to build something meaningful. It takes, 5, 6, 7, 10, 15, sometimes 20 years to
right,
build something meaningful. And so, this is not the kind of thing where you can just walk in um, and hit the ball out of the park. It takes real work and real long-term sustained effort. So that's one reason we called it grit, because grit is all about long-term sustained effort for a,
right.
a difficult goal.
Right. Hadn't thought about that actually. The clue is in the name.
Yeah.
It's great. You have to put in all the hard work and persevere, keep pushing.
And by the way, like we as investors have to do it too. Like there's no free lunch over here. Like we when we, partner with a CEO and executive team to help
Right.
build a big business, like we are rolling up our sleeves in the trenches here to help with whatever you need. So that's we're all startup founders ourselves. So each of the partners have started, built, and sold
Right.
businesses. So we know like what it's like, and we want to help you achieve your dream.
That actually is quite unique in terms of, you're all founders, you've started and exited businesses. This brings very unique support to the founders. What makes you stand out as great? Why would founders choose you over other VCs, for instance?
I mean, the background is part of it. The just the lived experience is part of it. There are other VCs, of course, who used to be operators too, so we're not completely unique in that way. But I do feel like in our conversations with entrepreneurs, we have a unique perspective because
Right,
we do so few deals in four categories that we all know and lived in, kind of
right,
grew up in, kind of
right.
in some ways you could say helped start.
Mhm.
Um, my second company, Yesware, was really one of the first companies that pioneered this product-led growth model of like give away something to a B2B audience, let them
Right,
use it for free, and
right,
then upsell if it's adding value to their job. So we've lived in these industries and worked and succeeded and failed in these industries,
Right.
and that's a differentiator for a lot of people. I mean, and then the other thing is just like the networks that we've had
Right.
by growing up in these industries now to be able to connect entrepreneurs to partners that will help them grow and succeed is
Right.
pretty amazing. So we've been able to make some amazing introductions and help people really get to the next level. Kind of the way Grit did for me at Bodeswell. I mean, I met Julia Huang from American Express Ventures at a
True.
Grit conference, and Jen Byrne, who's one of our partners, put me on a panel with Julia, and you know, I mean, the rest is history in a sense, and that connection never would have happened if Jen hadn't thought, hey, Matthew should really meet someone from
Yeah.
American Express.
It really is more than just the financial support. I mean, these
Oh,
networks mean a lot, probably sometimes a lot more than the financial support, actually, because you then end up in a very unique situation.
oh, 100% agree with you. I mean, it's the cash to make the payroll is important,
Right.
but making the payroll does not mean you're going to have a successful business.
Absolutely.
Picking the right people to hire,
Right.
finding the best people to hire, and then helping them fit into the organization with a unified goal, and
Yeah.
then connecting with the companies that are going to help you get to the next level is honestly the most important part.
Amazing. You mentioned four sectors that you focus on. Do you mind telling our audience which those four sectors are and why specifically those sectors?
Yeah, sure. So it's media, which is broadly speaking, companies that trade attention for advertising revenue or
Right.
subscription revenue.
Right.
Um, Media commerce, um, buying and selling things on the web.
Right.
Um, MarTech, marketing and sales technology,
Yeah.
and FinTech.
And fintech.
And I mean, I've done a media company, a MarTech company, and a FinTech company. FinTech is my favorite.
Right.
So
Right.
that's why when you wrote me that email, I was like happy to jump on the podcast because this is where my heart is.
Yeah, fintech, fintech. I can see. I mean, it's your most recent acquisition also,
Yep,
fintech, right?
yep, that's
You,
right.
yeah, you probably still need yet to go into commerce. So maybe there is one to close
Right.
out all the four.
I mean, luckily I have partners who are experts at commerce, so I don't. It's a
Right.
lot to learn just to cover FinTech and MarTech, frankly.
Right. One of when I was looking at Grit, I saw that one of your focus areas is on applied AI pioneers. How
Yeah.
do you actually differentiate between genuine AI innovation and the so-called, AI washing in the current market? Because there is a lot of this as well.
It's a great question. So we focus on applied AI for these industries that we know best. So
Right.
the thesis is um, applied AI is going to revolutionize the way each of these four industries work.
Right.
Um, Three of the four are completely disrupted by the internet challengers. Media has been completely, disrupted.
Yeah.
Commerce has been Amazoned, and
Yeah.
MarTech is actually a new category created in a sense by the internet distribution model.
Right.
FinTech has not really been disrupted. It has been changed, and there, of course, have been some major FinTech success stories.
Right.
But if you look at the list of like the top 10 financial services companies from 10 or 20 years ago,
Mhm.
it's more or less the same as what you see today.
Right.
And so there's a lot of reasons for that, and we can go into that if you want, but the thesis is that applied AI in each of those industries, and especially in FinTech,
Right.
will enable each of these industries to go through a whole new revolution of innovation and creativity and business effectiveness. So the
Right.
way that we tell whether or not this is real AI, real applied AI versus sort of, I mean, there's a lot of revenue in these AI companies that are basically like the board of directors told the company we need an AI strategy, and the managers went out and bought a lot of AI tools. I mean, that's literally a big reason so many of these companies have grown so fast.
Yeah,
Not all of course. And the way you tell is you go to those customers who bought
right.
the product and you ask them, how is it changing their business? How is it making their professional life better? How is it saving them costs or helping them grow revenue?
Mhm.
And there are some incredible AI companies that are really changing the way businesses in these sectors operate.
Right.
And those are the businesses we want to find and invest in.
Right. That's interesting because yeah, I can see that because there is a lot of scramble for companies to implement AI. So board of directors are probably just approving. You go out there, get lots of tools, but you're not totally sure how that's actually transforming businesses. If we go back to fintech in particular, which is an area that you've played in before and you continue to play it now. What trends do you see that are changing the industry as we speak?
I mean, there's so much happening in fintech right now that it's hard to like narrow it down. But I mean, among the most important things, in my mind anyway, are the rise of stablecoins as
Right.
a new payment rail.
Mhm.
The payment rails that we've had have been, especially in the US, more or less in place for the last 20 years. Um,
Right.
I mean, there have been some improvements to the speed at which transactions are cleared, both in the stock market and in the, banking world. But for the most part, they're pretty much the same the way businesses transmit money back and forth. Stablecoins are changing that really for the first time.
Right.
We recently made an investment in a company called Kira,
Mhm.
which is infrastructure for um, international remittances
Mhm.
to basically allow any company that works with customers to move money back and forth across international borders.
Right.
Importantly, it's 100% regulated. So a lot of the problem with the crypto world is that it operated outside the regulatory framework of, our society. Of
Right.
course, that's what some people love about it,
Yeah.
but we don't love that about it. But the opportunity for companies like Kira and Circle and others to build internet money
Yeah.
within the regulatory framework is a great opportunity to sort of transform the way payments are settled. So that's one.
Right.
Um, the one I'm most excited about, honestly, and the one that I haven't seen a ton of successful work in, is
Right.
just this idea of democratizing the access to strategies and tactics for wealth building. Um,
Right.
something like 2% of Americans, something like it's more than 2%, but something like 85 million Americans don't have a financial advisor. They don't have
Right.
anybody to go and talk to. And
Mhm.
and the financial advisor market is shrinking.
Mhm.
Advisors are retiring faster than advisors are going into the business. So
Mhm.
there's a there's a decreasing amount of human advice out there for how to build wealth. And I think that with the rise of generative AI and the ability for these systems to speak to human beings and type with human beings
Yeah.
in a way that's very human,
Yeah.
uh, I think it could unlock the access to the knowledge and the tactics and strategies for building wealth in this world. And that to me could be societally transformative if people take advantage of it and build the right things.
Right, right, right. And I can see, yeah, I can see what you're saying there that advisors are retiring faster than advisors are coming in. Is this an area that then you see tech playing a bigger role?
Yeah.
People maybe taking more of this advice from whether it's AI or any tools that have been built?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, software's already made a pretty good entry into this, sort of advice world with, the robo advisors that came out 10 years ago.
Right.
Um, but what's really missing is the ability to have a one-on-one conversation. If something happens and I need to talk to a human about my financial situation,
Right.
um, right now I have to call somebody on the phone and schedule an appointment and maybe even go into the office. But it does seem to me quite possible that that could be an AI.
Right.
And if it's an AI, then it's always available and it knows my past and it knows my future and it can talk to me or text with me any time of day or night. And it can do that for everyone, not just for the richest, you know,
Hmm.
top percentage of Americans. So that to me seems like something very much worth building.
Right. Okay. Are you seeing any players coming into this space in your fintech early stage startups?
I mean, I'm looking. So
All right.
if anyone in your audience is working on
All
something
right.
like that, please send me an
That's
email. Matthew,
yeah.
Matthew at grit.vc.
That's great. That's great. I mean, this is why we have this audience. That's why we have this forum. Of course, I'm sure anyone listening and thinking of getting into this space, they know who to speak to.
That's
Uh,
right.
Early stage VC is incredibly competitive, as we know. How does Grit differentiate itself when it comes to competing for the best deals?
This is a really interesting topic, and I have a somewhat contrarian point of view. I mean, there's a sort of thread of VC. Uh, I don't know if it's lore or
Yeah.
philosophy that is about the only thing that VCs need to do is to get into the best deals, and there are a handful of best deals per year,
Hmm.
and you either get into them or you don't. But I feel like that's really backward looking and actually not at all how reality works.
Right.
Because we don't know a priori what the best deals are. So the idea that like the VCs have to fight to get into one of five companies um, is, I think, not. I mean, it's borne out by looking at the past and thinking I needed to be in fintech into, Robinhood and
Yeah.
Facebook and Google.
Yeah.
But actually, if you're looking at a company fresh, it's hard to know if
Going
it's
to.
the one.
Yeah.
So I'm not really into uh, competing with other VCs to get into a deal.
Mhm.
I'm really into forming a genuine relationship with the founder and the founding team and
Right.
seeing if it's a match, i.e., if I can bring value to them and they want to partner with me and with us to
Right.
build a very big business very quickly.
Mhm.
And that's sort of a different vector of competition.
Right.
But I honestly think of our VCs as more partners, other VCs as more partners than competitors, because we all need to work together to
Mhm.
get financing together for a business and then to help it grow. So it's less of a head-to-head zero-sum game in my mind than a real working together to build something great.
That's a very interesting perspective, and I think I agree with you. When you look at these companies at the onset when they're starting, I mean, you look at the most successful companies, they were rejected by a lot of VCs in the past.
Right.
People who didn't really but as you're saying, it's born out of the past, and people think you have to be in the best deals, but those best deals were starting from somewhere at some point. So it's a very good way to look at it. And I'm sure that this is how Grit looks at things. And you having been one of the beneficiaries of Grit, you can actually see that this is how you operate.
I mean, it's not to say that if you look at the metrics of Facebook and year one, you wouldn't know that it was going to be big, but
Right.
it was not at all guaranteed that it was going to be this big.
Hmm.
If Mark hadn't hired Sheryl Sandberg, it's not at all clear that this would be one of the most important companies in the 21st century. So reality is a little more complicated than just get into the best deals and let it
Yeah.
ride.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Some of this is FOMO driven. A lot of people sometimes fear to miss out,
Yeah.
and they end up rushing into deals. Um, y- as a company, you've already built up strong pipeline in fintech, martech, and the other sectors that you mentioned. Can you tell us a bit more about what your growth ambitions are as a company in terms of portfolio size, in terms of sectors? Are you looking to expand into other sectors? Are those four really like the core that you want to
Mm.
stick with? But what's the size outlook?
Yeah. I mean, we're four investing partners,
Mhm.
and a company right now of seven.
Okay.
Uh, I can see us getting, I think Grit 3 is a $75 million fund.
Mhm.
Uh, I can imagine Grit 4 being a $150 million fund, but
Okay.
we're not going to be a big, huge firm.
Mhm.
We're not going to, we're not going to raise $1 billion.
Mhm.
And we sort of feel like this is a bespoke, cottage focused, roll up your sleeves kind of industry. And we feel like we can be most impactful by making a few number of very concentrated, high conviction investments and then doing the best we can to help those companies succeed. So there are certainly are other bigger, huger VC firms, and they bring a different skill set to bear. But our approach is much more concentrated.
Right. And how do you typically approach the acquiring, like bringing in new businesses, new founders? How does that look? Because you're saying it's more concentrated. You're not, like pumping out there to try and get to 1 billion funds, but you want to focus and help a handful of businesses get the most out of what they want to achieve.
Yeah. I mean, the um, the process looks maybe fairly similar from the point of view of scale. We
Yeah.
talk to a lot of people. We talk to we talk to dozens or scores or hundreds or sometimes thousands of startups before
Right.
we make an investment. Um,
Okay.
because we're selective in terms of industry and technology, that narrows the field a little bit. Because we
Yeah.
have so much experience in operating in those industries, that narrows the field quite a bit more.
Right.
Um, but beyond that, we need to talk to a lot of people to find what we think is the team most likely to build $1 billion business.
Right. Okay.
Like every company that we invest in
Right.
needs to be able to go public.
Right.
Like and I often tell entrepreneurs that most of them should not raise venture capital.
Hmm.
Most of them should take the time that they are spending calling and emailing people like me and
Right.
instead call and email their customers.
Right.
Go get some more customers. Go grow your
Right.
revenue.
Hmm.
Go talk to more people who will buy your product
Right.
because those conversations are actually
Hmm.
more important for the health of your business.
Right.
Um, now, at some point, if you have a company that can be very big,
Right.
um, i.e., hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue,
Mhm.
then it makes sense to sell some of your equity for cash to grow faster.
Okay.
But most companies are not in that category. They should instead, keep growing organically and find there's a lot of successful companies that never go public. So
Right. Right. Is this born from your own personal experience?
yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
very much
Okay.
so. My first startup, the media company,
Yeah.
we didn't raise any. Well, we raised like $100,000 from our advisors, like
Right.
who once we got off the ground and we were running and we were profitable, they
Yeah.
asked if they could invest, and I was happy to cut them in a little bit. But
Yeah.
we were basically bootstrapped. And the second company was venture backed. We
Mm.
raised about $50 million from Google Ventures and Foundry Group and Battery Ventures, like some of the best venture
Right,
capitalists. And then the
right.
third one was angel investors and strategic investors, mostly American Express.
Yeah,
So I've kind of seen three different ways of financing a company, and your mileage may vary. Like the right approach for your business is kind of up to the dynamics of what you want to build. And it's
right,
odds are probably not venture capital,
right.
which doesn't mean it's not a good business, by the way. It
Yeah.
could be a great business, but just
No,
not a VC-backed business.
yeah, no, that's quite good and actually very transparent advice to founders, because the people sometimes feel like you always have to go. If you're not VC backed, then your business is probably not as good. But
Yeah.
this is good advice. Now, turning things a bit, what are the challenges that you're seeing in your sector, or specifically with Grit? What challenges do you see?
For the startups that we invest in, or for
Either for the startups that you invest in, or how you go about investing in, the process. What would you like to see change in the whole industry, in the way things are done at the moment?
I mean, I mean, right now we have a very strange government branch in the United States.
Right,
In terms of society, we have a very strange situation in Washington,
right.
uh, where it's very unpredictable. It's very hard to know what's
Yeah,
going to happen, and
yeah,
and that makes building businesses more difficult. It's so I would like to go back to a time when um, everyone followed the same laws, and
yeah,
that we had sort of a national argument about the right way to go, as opposed to a sort of
hmm,
you know shouting match about which way to go. Uh,
yeah.
that would be one thing that would help the business environment and help young startups get off the ground. Um,
Right.
uh, I mean, from a technology standpoint and from a sort of opportunity standpoint, I still think it's an incredible time to start a business.
Right.
Like there's a ton of opportunity, and and generative AI has unlocked a bunch of things that software could never do before and now can do. And to me, that's very exciting. So I don't see a ton of problem. I'd see a lot of like problems that can be figured out and turned into very big businesses.
Amazing, amazing. Um, as we get into wrapping up, anything else you'd like to share with our audience, or about yourself, about Grid Capital? Anything you'd like our audience to know?
I mean, I guess maybe just one word of warning. We only invest in U.S. businesses. So to the
Right.
extent that you're listening in other parts of the world, I'm sorry we're not a great resource for you. I wish we were.
Yeah.
Um, but uh, one of the most hopeful and exciting aspects of, you could say, the 21st century has
Yeah.
been the rise of entrepreneurship across
Hmm.
the world. Um, it used to be that the US was sort of the only place that large companies were getting started in
Yeah.
mass. And that has now changed. And it is incredibly exciting to see the
Yeah.
dynamism in Europe, the
Yeah.
dynamism in Africa. I mean,
Yeah.
Asia has always been,
Hmm.
but Asia even seems unlocked compared to, when I was young. So it seems like a great time. I mean, Australia,
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
all these incredible companies coming out of Australia and New Zealand. Like I
Yeah.
just never would have expected that. It's wonderful to see. So I'm very excited about where we are as a society in terms of entrepreneurship, and I think
Yeah.
it has the power to really change the way our society works in terms of the resources that we can magnetize and the growth that we can experience. So I mean, onwards. Like there's a lot to do. Let's get to it, you know?
Amazing. And where can our viewers and listeners find out more about Grit, about yourself? How can they connect with you?
Sure. Our website is just www.grit.vc, and it has all the information about our partners and our portfolio and our investment approach and
Right.
what we look for and what we can offer. And then I'm just M Bellows, Mbellows on X,
Right.
Twitter,
Right.
and LinkedIn, um, and if people just want to send me emails, that's fine too. It's Matthew, Matthew, at grit.vc.
Thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Matt, it's been really, really invaluable insights that you've shared with us today. It's fascinating to hear your experience both as an operator and now as a VC with Grit. And to our listeners, thank you for joining this episode of FinTalk Show at Pros AI. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you find this episode insightful, please subscribe, leave us a review, share with whoever you think might benefit. And you can also visit our website, our YouTube channel, our Spotify channel, or even on LinkedIn for more resources and past episodes. We'll be back next week with another exciting guest. Until then, take care. And thanks, Matthew, for being with us today.
Thanks, Osman. Great conversation.